Oh, hello everyone. This is Shyaporn to Before I begin, I wanted to say I feel awful. I just realized that May is Asian American Heritage Month, and I completely forgot to get myself anything. But I will try to make it up to me with some bubble tea and soup dumplings, and maybe, if I'm good, a roast pork bun. By the way, a little housekeeping memorandum. It used to be called Asian Pacific Heritage Month, but for purposes of alliteration and common sense, it is now just Asian American Heritage Month. Pacific Islanders, you are Asian. Please just suck it up. I think it's important for Asian Americans to ask themselves one question about this month of celebrating our cultural identity. Are we Asians, as a people, so fond of studying that we had to come up with Asian American History Month? Because it's not just railroads, internment camps, and karaoke. We've been here since the 1700s, and before that you've got thousands of years of history from at least 40 different Asian Pacific countries. That's a collective 60,000 years of pre-Asian American culture, plus the 250 years we've already been in the Americas. Whose parents came up with this idea? I just don't have time for that. Now, I suppose we don't have to go to those academic extremes to celebrate our Asian American heritage. Perhaps we can just perform some traditional dances, prepare some ethnic cuisine, and eat a bunch of jellied candies and desserts. But I digress. I'd like to talk to you today about three of the greatest dangers facing the Asian American community in the 21st century. For those non-Asians watching, please enjoy this amusing cartoon. For the rest of you, these dangers are as follows: the cancellation of Lost, political extremism, and, of course, Godzilla. Let us start with the end of the television program Lost. As you may know, from 2004 to 2010, Lost employed 98.5% of all Asians in Hollywood. The show had a half-dozen Asian actors cast as main or recurring characters, with a slew of other supporting Asian roles appearing over the years. During this time, the show literally employed more Asian actors than all the other broadcast channels combined, including, sadly, its own network, ABC. The bad news is it's over. The good news, it's on Netflix. But how do we fill the void? Harold went on to a subpar, now cancelled Lost clone, and Kumar had himself killed off House so they could go work in the Obama White House, and then quit. Other attempts to have substantial Asian characters on other shows have met with mixed success and just plain failure. The solution doesn't lie in protests, waiting for J.J. Abrams, or Hawaii Five-0. It lies in simply taking control of the content by producing mass media that is both artistically engaging and commercially viable. The technology and new media platforms available today make it so that any idiot with a camera and an internet connection can reach a worldwide audience with a few clicks of a button. All that's needed now is the discipline and desire to make use of these resources. And it started already. Niga Higa is the most popular channel on YouTube, currently closing on 4 million subscribers, with other Asians figuring prominently amongst the top 100 channels on the site. And Felicia Day's popular web series The Guild features not one, but 2 Asian Americans in starring roles. Now, when I was in school, there were exactly 2.5 Asians in the undergraduate acting program at New York University, and only a handful more of people of any color other than Crayola flesh. It's tremendously encouraging to look across the new media landscape and know that things have changed, with Asian Americans writing, performing, and directing projects for a worldwide audience. To the rest of you Asians watching who are in business, medicine, or engineering, at least your parents are happy. Keep up the good work. And to you brave souls in the creative arts that don't involve playing a classical instrument, I say, don't suck. Next, a few words about political extremism. This is a touchy subject for some. Americans' diverse religious, cultural, and economic backgrounds make for a rather treacherous minefield that is difficult for any group to navigate, and has, in recent years, caused a deeply polarized social rift. For some, maybe they couldn't resist Glenn Beck's steely blue eyes, and for others, maybe that hippie chick at the PETA protest really was just that hot. But whatever the case, realize that adopting a hardline political ideology can often come at the expense of rational thought and discourse, and can serve to further marginalize and stereotype that group. For example, in 2008, Californians were divided over Proposition 8, a ballot initiative and constitutional amendment restricting the definition of marriage to opposite-sex couples, overturning an earlier state Supreme Court ruling that allowed same-sex marriages. In October of that year, a group calling themselves the Asian Heritage Coalition, led by the chairwoman, Dr. Grace Lee, held a rally in support of Proposition 8. Dr. Lee stated at the time that Asians were against same-sex marriage based on the teachings and history of their culture. She said, and I quote, "We have our own morals and ethics." Now, I happen to be for marriage equality, but whether you're for or against it, you must understand that these sort of statements are problematic for the Asian American community. In one fell swoop, Grace Lee, with the so-called Asian Heritage Coalition, not only generalized all Asians as having a single political and ethical stance, reinforcing the age-old stereotype, she also managed to homogenize the dozens of distinct cultures and thousands of years of history I mentioned earlier into one single Asian monoculture. Chinese, Japanese, Thai, Indonesian, Indian, apparently there's no difference. They're all just Asian. They speak Asian. All this to support an extreme political stance. But that aside, here's the worst part of Grace Lee's statement. It wasn't true. Just the week before she made this statement, the National Asian American Survey was released. This was the largest scientific poll of Asian American voters ever conducted, with nearly 1,900 people interviewed in 8 different languages by researchers at UC Berkeley, USC, UC Riverside, and Rutgers University. The poll found that 57% of Asian Americans were, in fact, opposed to Proposition 8 and supported marriage equality. 32% favored Prop 8, and 11% were undecided. And incidentally, by undecided, I believe they meant playing StarCraft. So simply put, Grace Lee, Ph.D., before speaking on behalf of Asians everywhere, did not do her homework. And that, as we all know, is Asian fail. Grace Lee, you are out of the club. Buddha spoke of the middle path between two extremes, leading to insight and knowledge. And the philosopher Confucius once said, "What you do not wish for yourself, do not do to others." I don't really know what any of that means. I just wanted to quote Buddha and Confucius, because I'm Asian. Which brings us to our third, and perhaps most serious threat to the Asian community, Godzilla. Now, I have already gone on at length about the dangers of this mega kaiju menace, and so rather than repeat myself, I will simply link you to excerpts from my paper, Godzilla, History, Biology, and Behavior of Hyper-Evolved Theropod Kaiju, and a short summary song I created for the kids. So, back to Asian American Heritage Month. Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. In conclusion, it's a wonderful thing to honor those who came before us and to embrace the beauty of where we came from and understand the history that brought us to where we are today. But it's important to remember that while your heritage and history informs who you are, you should never let it define who you are. We are all individuals, free to be whatever we want to be, without labels. Except for Cubs fans. They are just sad. So thank you, and enjoy your day. Yes.
Do you hear the people sing? My place